Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASX Investor channel, and welcome to another interview. This is one that has been one of the hottest requested interviews on the channel. We're revisiting the story of Brainchip. I'm sure everybody by now is familiar with the ASX BRN story. Now officially have access to the world's only commercially available neuromorphic processor. We've previously had Rob Telson on, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing globally for Brainchip, and he's rejoining us today to really explore this story as Brainchip transitioned from R&D into global commercialization phase of their story. It's an exciting one. They're coming off the back of a major deal with Megachips last week, which we'll definitely talk about. We'll talk about all things commercialization and the timeline moving forward now. Rob, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm sure everyone's going to be excited to have you back. Welcome back, mate.
Well, thank you for having me again. Exciting to be here.
I think it'll be fascinating to start before we dive into all of the news and the announcements with a bit of a sense check at the moment. It's been a very busy period for Brainchip. How's everything going internally, and how's everything going in terms of the mood of the place?
Yeah, we are moving at a very, very fast pace. It's exciting times. You know, I use my phrase, the tip of the iceberg, but yeah, I mean, the month of November for Brainchip has just been one of week after week, we've had something exciting happen. If you go back to the first week of November, we announced ADRs on the OTC. So another way for our investors to get access to the Brainchip technology. And then, you know, we moved on to the actual official success of the chip, and everything's been tested and validated, working better than we thought. Which again gives us this level of excitement and just feeling really good. It's for those that have never done it or don't know that much about it, being able to actually have working silicon on your first pass is an amazing feat. Being able to do it with not all the resources you dream of having makes it that much greater. And so we're very happy about that. And, you know, we had multiple shows that we were a part of. We also moved to a very large facility for Brainchip, which is in a great location, a great facility. Everyone's happy to be here, and it's definitely going to be this growth spot for us, and that's when it gets really exciting. So being able to handle a lot more people at Brainchip and employees over the next year, which we're looking forward to doing. And then beyond that, we announced our CEO, Sean Hare. So we announced Sean, who officially here in the US, today is the 29th, officially started today, but he's been with us all last week, engaged in the office, even over the holiday, with the US holiday for Thanksgiving, talking to us all on a daily basis. So he is fully engaged, and that's exciting. We can talk about that in more detail. And then finally, what everyone gets really excited about is a view into additional customers. And so we had a really nice announcement, a great engagement for Brainchip is with our partner Megachips. And that one has the potential to really be beneficial for Akida and all those that are big fans of Brainchip.
There's so many places we could take the conversation. It's such an exciting period, I guess. To start at the start, maybe for those who aren't familiar with Brainchip, you've got your hands on the world's first and only currently commercially available neuromorphic processor. It's an events-based neural processor. Can you break down why that's so important and what it can actually bring to the world of AI moving forward?
Yeah, I think what makes it so important and what makes it so exciting is the fact that you know, we're on the forefront with AI. There's a long tail here in regards to the introduction of technology or AI-based technology into devices, both at the data center level and also at the edge level. And for Brainchip, we focus on the edge. And for those that aren't familiar with what the edge means, we're talking about devices that we as consumers use on a daily basis, anywhere from tablets and wearables to electric vehicles and everything in between, where you're going to be capturing information and you want to process that and have a little bit of intelligence on that device. And we're incorporating more intelligence into our daily routines. And so we focus on 4 key areas for what we call edge-based AI applications. And that's the smart home. You think of new refrigerators and technology within the house. Smart city, think of facial identification and all these different ways that we can apply intelligence in our work world. And then there's smart transportation, as we talked about before, with vehicles and all the evolution of vehicles and transportation. And then finally, smart health, and looking at the evolution of being able to apply intelligence into our daily lives for medical applications and everything around that. And so Brainchip has developed the world's first neuromorphic processor. And what that means is traditional artificial intelligence processors are used to processing all of the information that's given to them. And that consumes a lot of energy or power, and also a lot of time. And by doing that, it's not efficient. And with a neuromorphic based architecture, we're functioning very similar to the human brain, which means we're really focusing on specific functions at a time, but it can handle a lot in the background, very similar to our human brain. And so that makes us extremely unique. What that means, though, when it comes to the introduction of artificial intelligence at the edge, is that we're consuming very little power, which allows you to have all these flexibilities and this compute activity on these edge devices. And not only that, we provide something that no one else does, which is on-chip learning. And so now you're learning on the edge, and you're enabling your devices to have a little bit of device personalization and flexibility. There's a variety of other benefits that we're offering with our technology that people are taking advantage of, but those are the two really that I like to talk about: power consumption, and then also the device flexibility.
Functionally, it's a compelling proposition, but I would like to ask you as well, it's quite interesting because, of course, in the early stages, we've got such a collection of incredible individuals from the semiconductor space as well as the broader technology space globally, all coming to Brainchip, which was initially a startup. Obviously, it continues to grow, but it's still in the early stages. Why do you think everyone is so interested in buying into the mission and taking that risk to come to Brainchip to grow this company out?
Well, I think if you've listened to any of my podcasts that I've done, the last one I did with Topio Networks, we talked about AI being a revolution. And we referenced the fact that the previous revolution was the internet. So when we start to look at it, the scale and the impact that it has, you start to realize, wow, what potential we have here when it comes to artificial intelligence. And so specifically for Brainchip, we are unique. We are technically, we have an advantage over other architectures that exist. So there is this first wave of companies that have applied AI into their products, and they're starting to integrate it, and they're starting to realize, wait, we can't push the envelope anymore with this architecture, and which leads them to say and to start analyzing what we're doing with our neuromorphic based architecture and taking it from there. So we're at the very forefront with AI. It's got a lot of legs on it. Another podcast that I did with Jem Davies, one of the general manager over at ARM, he made it very clear, when you look at these technologies, you're looking at 10, 12, 15 years to have some of these technologies come to fruition. And that's no different than what we've experienced with some of the technologies in our everyday life. And so we're at the forefront.
And I think building on that as well, this discussion of commercialization, it's thrown around a lot, but investors might not realize how long of a process it is to go from concept through to R&D to get working silicon, as you mentioned. Did you want to talk about that process and how it really plays out?
It is a process. So, when it comes to actually developing semiconductors or chips and the architecture and the technology and then validating them, it can be years. And again, it depends on, are you getting the success with your initial chip, or do you have to do respins? Do you have to do some re-engineering or anything to that extent? So it is a process. Fortunately for us, we're through that first phase of that process. Akida 1000 is our initial chip, and again, it's working better than we thought, which is we're very excited about. We're commercializing it. We have IP licensees, and for those that aren't familiar with the difference between IP or intellectual property and actual silicon and buying chips, intellectual property is what our customers or future customers will license from us to then design into their own chip. And so then Akida just becomes a functionality in a broader environment. The other way you can do it is by buying the silicon and putting it on a board or a system. And then that board or system that gets put into some type of device. And for not saying we're in phones, but if you think of a phone, your shape of a phone as a board behind all the glass and everything, Akida would just be another processor in that system per se.
And talking about the IP side, this is really your area of expertise and what you've been brought in to develop. Can you talk about the process? I think a lot of investors are like, okay, so the chips are ready. They've come up the line now. Revenue should be flowing through. It's not as if revenue isn't. There's licensing fees up front, but that process of going through IP, prototyping, obviously integrating, qualifying, testing, and then finally getting into the products. How does that play out?
It's a long process as well. And it does, it feels a lot better to say, look, we can demonstrate our working product. We can show you a lot of different videos and demos that most of you guys have probably seen on our YouTube channel, Brainchip Inc. And if you haven't, please go there. But the process of being able to engage with the customer, validate that the technology is real and it's working, map it out how it would work in one's environment. Again, we're talking about licensing the IP. And then building off of that, then going through the commercial negotiations. All of this it takes a lot of time. And then after the commercial negotiations, it's actually you won the engagement and now you have to deliver. So you're delivering that IP so customers can design it into their technology, and you're working with them sometimes daily or weekly to make sure that they're implementing the technology correctly or most efficiently. It's a process.
And I guess all of that culminates in the deal announced last week with Megachips. This is what they do. They put these chips into products around the world for their customers. It's obviously a milestone one. Did you want to talk about who Megachips is, the specifics of the deal, and why you're so excited about it as well?
Yeah, this is a good engagement, great engagement for Brainchip and Megachips. And what's exciting about it is very similar to what you've just said. Megachips is a company who they actually work with silicon providers. So they're in the back end putting the chip together. So having licensed our intellectual property, they are now working with multiple companies out there designing chips for them. So it enables Akida to be designed into a variety of different environments, which we don't have the bandwidth right now to do on our own, let alone with COVID, not being able to travel outside our borders. It's not as efficient. So now we have a team in Japan, they're focused in Japan. They've got great relationships in Japan. Plus they do other engagements worldwide, and they have Akida in their hip pocket. So whenever they're doing a design where there's artificial intelligence that needs to be incorporated into that, they can design an Akida.
And I'd assume that this type of model is likely to be replicated across different types of customers moving forward. Just to conceptualize it for the viewers, you have the initial licensing up front, then you obviously have some integration costs, and then the royalties into perpetuity. Is that how you expect these to continue to play out?
Those are the three commercial points to our engagements. So whether it be working directly with an end customer, very similar to what we did with Renesas, and having them license the technology, there's some engineering services and royalties tied to all that. The same thing will happen moving forward. The exciting thing about Megachips, though, it has the potential to be multiple instantiations or multiple implementations throughout the engagement.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on Renesas there. It's been 12 months since the announcement came to market. Was interested to hear about how things are potentially progressing on that front, and any insights that you can provide to viewers about how that is going forward.
Yeah, good question. Unfortunately, and it's something you'll hear me say more often than not. I mean, we have strict confidentiality agreements with our customers and our future customers. And once a customer is in the process of taking the IP and designing it into their technology, that's really where they're trying to develop their competitive position. So the last thing that they want are these commercial bullet points, plus knowing where people are in their design timeframe. So we really can't talk about it. It is progressing, and we're working very well with them. We're excited to see what the finished product get to silicon and see them proliferate that product into all the avenues and areas where they envisioned it going. But at that point, that's about as far as I can go.
And there was an additional Halt last week as well out of the Megachips announcement where you provided some follow-up information. Are you able to provide any color into what happened there and how that process did play out?
Yeah, that was unique. The fact of the matter is, and I'm on the sales and marketing side, but we're at a point with the ASX where there was this desire for more clarification. So the best thing to do while we try to get the accuracy and the clarification appropriate was to halt and make sure that we were providing the ASX with what they needed. And again, it's a very dynamic situation. I know it really wants to understand our business and how we go about doing things. At the same point, we are, the benefit of our business is building these relationships of confidentiality with current and future customers. That is the best thing for our customers, the best thing for Brainchip, and the best thing for our shareholders. I want to emphasize that because our whole focus is on being able to get Akida designed in, enable our customers to have a strategic advantage. And that strategic advantage comes when they are finished developing their product, which can take a while. So their investment in the technology is really critical to them, and critical that they have a key position that enables them to compete and differentiate.
So I guess building on that as well, we know that there's a range of different early access partners, and we know that each of these types of discussions are made on a customer by customer basis. So is it more difficult, I guess, having that information out there, or how do you navigate in terms of those types of discussions?
I'm really sensitive because personally for me, this is what I do for a living. So just like you and I have started to have these conversations and build a level of trust with each other, that's where I focus. And at the end of the day, I want my customers to know they can call at any time of day, wherever they are in the world, and we'll respond. And whether I respond personally or someone from the team responds, we need them to know that that's one of the differentiators of Brainchip is our ability to give them the attention that they need. So the early access partners, our whole goal all along is to see them grow, see them acquire Akida, whether it be in silicon or IP, and also work within their ecosystems. So a lot of these guys have large ecosystems, and we want Brainchip to be a part of that from all levels. So again, I use this word. It is a process. It's tip of the iceberg, and I'll coin those. But the reality of it is that we're going to continue to build off of the relationships that we've started, support them technically, and enable them to have access to Akida in the best form possible for them to be successful.
There's a few different industries that have come up over this past period that's attracting a bit of attention, from LiDAR to the metaverse. A couple of these different sectors have been getting a bit of attention. Can you speak about any potential implementations that you can see, or how customers have been approaching those types of areas?
We have engaged on all fronts. I think I've kind of highlighted that before on previous discussions, that it's very broad. So nothing seems to come by us and without us having an opportunity to have a discussion with someone that's in that space. So without highlighting those two technologies, there's a variety of them, including those two technologies where we've had an opportunity to have discussions and see how we can get involved and support the ecosystem.
And you touched on it at the start of this video as well. Sean Hare is now officially, I think he commenced yesterday. How's that kind of improved the mood at Brainchip, and what's really exciting about the new appointment and where he could potentially take the Brainchip story?
Like I said, I've had a lot of opportunities now to work with Sean. He's very driven. He's a dynamic guy. I actually think he's a great fit for the role. He's got a lot of energy. He brings a ton of market knowledge to the team. We've done a very, very good job executing to plan. And we're at a point now where we do need a guy like Sean to kind of tie some of these things together, hear what all of our visions are and opinions on where we're taking Brainchip next, and being able to filter through all that and point us in the right direction and help us get there. And he's already rolled up his sleeves. He's getting involved, and I'm excited to work with him. And we are already throwing things against the wall, saying, "What about this? And what about that?" We're only going to build on that. So it's a good decision. I want to say good hire. I don't know if that's the right word, but having Sean on board is a really good thing, and I'm excited to work with him.
And we actually did touch on this last time as well. We know there's a $60 billion TAM. It's a huge addressable market, but many people find it difficult to reconcile that how Brainchip can have this competitive lead ahead of your Intels, your IBMs with deep pockets, as have been referenced before. Now that the chips are starting to get out to the customers, how's that been playing out?
Good question. So we're starting to see the momentum pick up. There is this demand from the industry to incorporate AI. One of the things that we wanted to make sure is that there's, we are a neuromorphic architecture, but we address the edge-based applications in the industry. That's why the TAM is so large. And that's what also makes it extremely exciting. So as everything starts to evolve, we'll see additional opportunities come our way. So the without using the iceberg comment, we're just starting to see all this take place, and these customers are at a variety of different levels of their own maturity levels when it comes to understanding AI, incorporating AI, and adopting AI. So the most important thing for Brainchip and our ability to execute to plan right now is to be able to determine where does this customer or future customer fall within our ability to engage with them. Are they someone that we're going to be able to engage in the next 6 to 12 months and make this an effective partnership? Or is it someone that there's going to be a lot more education, a lot more hand-holding, and that could be a longer process? So we're working through all that right now. And we're putting these, when we build our pipelines and our forecasts, we have short-term engagements, midterm, long-term, and then we have the real strategic ones that we know we have to execute on.
Commercialization itself as well, it doesn't really just only flow through, I guess, on the chips being sold, but there's also been quite a concerted effort from Brainchip, it seems, over this past period to really improve the investor and institutional commercialization as well. There's been a lot of talks, a lot of institutional discussion. ADRs are now available. Can you speak about why that focus has happened and what you're hoping to achieve out of that focus on commercialization?
Yeah, I think as we grow and as we evolve, and we have this commercialization aspect of it, but with that, we also want to make sure that the visibility into Brainchip globally takes place at the customer or potential customer level, as well as on the investor level. And so we are starting to have these concerted efforts with investment forums that Ken's been attending, and I've had the opportunity to attend some. Tony has attended some, and then eventually Sean will attend these, working with investment groups globally to educate them on Brainchip, the technology, the story, why we're different, what we're doing, and how we're achieving what we've set out to do. So again, there's, for lack of a better word, there's a lot of selling going on from a lot of different ways. We are really evangelizing, telling our story, and it's a good story. It's a good message. And the great thing is we've executed to our message everything that we've communicated we wanted to accomplish step by step. Maybe not in the time frame we thought, but everything is going down that path. And that's actually where, when you look at Brainchip, that's when you get really excited.
And talking about that story, a few months ago, you said there would be plenty to watch over this next few months. The next time we caught up, that definitely has happened. Over the next 12 months ahead now, we're at the back end of 2021. Where do you think Brainchip and the story will be over a 12-month period moving forward?
Yeah, without getting into too much detail, my expectations are pretty high. I think we have a lot to execute on internally, building our organizations out, getting the people in the right spot with the right knowledge, solving the right problems for our current and future customers. From customer engagements, continuing to build off of what we've started, And we're in a good spot to do that. So it's just going to be, there's going to be a level of patience. There are a lot of negotiation dynamics that go on when we do these things. So there's knowing what is best for Brainchip and for our customers, future customers, and our shareholders as we go down this path. So I'm excited. 2022, 2023, 2024, all going to be exciting times for Brainchip as we continue to march forward. As we've highlighted before, besides the current commercialization component, we also have our roadmap of our other products and the technologies and the architectures that we're introducing for those products. That's our next phase of continuing to evolve the Akida product line, the Akida brand, and continuing to enable us to differentiate from others that are going to be competing in our space.
And I wanted to finish on another quote. It's not actually the tip of the iceberg quote this time, but it's another one that's been adapted by the investors out there from Brainchip, that is, don't miss the bus. I just wanted to ask you personally, why are you so excited about this bus journey up ahead? And what are those milestones that investors should be looking at as they look out the bus window moving forward?
Yeah, I really do believe that there's going to be these customers and future customers that truly recognize the value of Akida, and that there's aspects to this technology that they can't get with other technologies. How they incorporate Akida into their current or future designs or products, that's where the selling comes into play, and that's where we're working on right now. But yeah, I truly believe that there's this bus, and you don't want to miss it. And it goes back to, Clayton Christensen wrote a book it's called The Innovator's Dilemma. And it was in regards to disruptive technologies and the introduction of these disruptive technologies. And the companies on the high end that own the markets looked at disruptive technologies as, they're disruptive technology, but they can't really make a dent or an impact in what we have here. And the way that these companies have addressed the technology was in a way that the large organizations couldn't respond and couldn't pivot. And it feels a lot like Akida has that ability. If we continue to execute on what we're doing and we're able to evolve the architecture and our technology, we've put ourselves in a very, very good position to capitalize on that. And we just have to execute, be efficient, stay true to our course, and find the right opportunities and engagements that will be beneficial for our customers, our future customers, for Brainchip, and our shareholders alike.
All eyes will be on the Brainchip story up ahead as you continue to commercialize Akida. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to share it out. We make daily videos, so make sure you've subscribed and turn your bell notifications on. That's Brainchip. It's ASX BRN. They're listed OTC, BRCHF, and they've now got ADRs available as well. Rob Telson, it was an absolute pleasure to catch up as always, mate. Really enjoyed unpacking the story and looking forward to doing it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Stay well.